بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We tonight inshallah going to finish Salat al-Jama'ah. The ruling of Salat al-Jama'ah, it is a fard and it is ayn, meaning it's an individual obligation. And upon who? Upon the adult males, save if the person has a legitimate excuse. So if this person has no legitimate excuse, what's a legitimate excuse? Meaning that he's far away from the masjid, meaning that he is accompanying somebody who can't leave, like a baby or an ill person. Like for example, there is danger if he goes to the masjid. Like for example, that he's ill himself. So if there is a legitimate excuse, then the Jama'ah is not compulsory upon him. But if there is no legitimate excuse, then he has to come to the Jama'ah if he is within the catchment area. So if he is in an area where the adhan is being called outside and he can't hear the adhan, then there is no Jama'ah on him unless he wants to come. But if he can hear the adhan, then there is no excuse. And the adhan is to be called with the aid of no speakers or megaphones, just a normal adhan, where the person gets to the highest point, top of the masjid, and then you call the adhan, then this person is incumbent upon him to come to the masjid if he hears the adhan. طيب. Here we have the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the one in whose hand is my soul, I almost commanded for the prayer to be established, and I almost commanded with the adhan to be called, and I almost commanded a man, he would lead the prayer, and I would go with some men and I would burn the houses of those people who would not come to the Jama'ah. And the Prophet ﷺ also, he said, by the one in whose soul,
but the one in whose soul is my hand, if one of them knew that he was to gain a bone heavy with meat, or meat between two rib bones, he would have definitely attended the night prayer.
Could you just take away the sharpness of the voice? The sharpness, mine, it's really hitting. I want the, pleasurable, sharp. طيب, that's better, yes, no, the sharpness. Here the Prophet ﷺ, he says that if one of them to know that he would get such a thing if he comes to the prayer, he would have come to the Isha. And the Isha is basically very difficult prayer because the person wants to sleep, and that's why the hypocrites will not come to the Isha prayer, nor they will come to the Fajr prayer. Also the Prophet ﷺ had a man who was a blind one, who was Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. No, sorry, it's Abdullah ibn or Amr ibn Maktoum. Amr ibn al-Maktoum, and he is a person, ibn Maktoum, ibn Maktoum. He is a person who's blind. He is the person whom the revelation came, Abasa wa Tawalla, regarding him. So he came to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Messenger of Allah, I have no one to lead me to the masjid. And there's another narration, he said, there is, between me and the masjid is a valley, and there is beast, and there is snakes, too many snakes maybe on the path. You have an excuse for me to pray at home. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him in the beginning, yes, but later on the abbreviation, or they could say the cancellation, the abrogation, I should say, of that came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to the man, come back, do you hear the adhan? Do you hear the salah, hear the falah? He said, yes, then you should come to the prayer. Also Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says, he who wants or is pleased to meet Allah, that means to meet Allah while he will be going to paradise as a Muslim, then let him observe the 5 daily prayers where the call of the prayer is being established. That means in the masajid or in the musallayat where there's no masajid. For verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had legalized, or he had given to your Prophet the guidance paths or the guidance sunnah. And verily praying the 5 daily prayers, Salat al-Jama'ah, in Jama'ah, is from the guidance. And if you pray in your house, like that person who stays behind and prays in his house, you would have left and abandoned the sunnah of your Prophet. And if you abandon the sunnah of your Prophet, you would have been misguided. And any man who comes and makes a tahur, wudu, and he perfects his wudu, and he comes to the masjid, or any masjid from these masajid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would record for him for every step that he does a hasana, and he would elevate him for every step that he does a rank, a step in paradise, and he will also take away from him a sin. And no one would stay behind from that prayer at that time except for a hypocrite whom his hypocrisy is known. That means a major hypocrite. And the man would have been brought to the masjid to the extent that he would be put between two men in order that he would be establishing his upright position in the line or the row. Meaning, the man, he could be just, maybe he's not really strong enough to come, but he would come to the jama'ah, and even he would be put between two men in order for him to stay upright, so he does not tilt to one side because of his weakness. So the companions, you consider the person who does not come to the jama'ah is a hypocrite. Also, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, who he hears the adhan, so the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who hears the adhan and he does not come to it, then there is no prayer for him except if he has a legitimate excuse. If there is no prayer upon him or for him, that's a very big threat from the Prophet ﷺ. If you prayed at home, definitely you have fulfilled your obligation. But when the Prophet said, if you heard the adhan of the jama'ah, you did not come to pray the jama'ah, and there is no prayer, it does not mean invalidation. We keep it like this to the hadith. The hadith is no prayer. Just to make it with this sort of I would say, deterrence mode or tone, deterrence tone. There's no prayer for him. We don't investigate whether the prayer is valid or invalid. So the hadith says, La salata lahu. There's no prayer for him. So that's to show you it is one of the sins, and big sins, not to come to the jama'ah. Also the Prophet ﷺ said any three in any village or outside areas where the rural areas, that there was no jama'ah, salah does not come to them, they don't establish the jama'ah, then the shaitan will over-control them, will have a control over them. So hold on to the jama'ah, for very the wolf holds and capture and the sheep which is away from the flock. He would go for the sheep which is away from the flock. So that's show you how the importance of the jama'ah. So it is compulsory upon the male and the adult. If he's not an adult, then it's not compulsory. If he's not a male, if he's a female, it's not compulsory upon him. Fadluha, what is the virtues of it? Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, prayer of the jama'ah is better than the prayer of the person in his own by 27 degrees, 27 steps over it. And also Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, prayer of the jama'ah, it would have multiple than the prayer of the person in his own or in his house by 25 times. So if you have 27, 25, we always take the upper one, 27. So if he makes wudu and he perfects it, then he goes to the masjid, does not go up to the masjid except for the salah, then every step that he does, then he will have a rank, a step in paradise, and they will have sin to be removed. And if he prays in the jama'ah, and then the angels will stay invoking forgiveness for him as long as he stays in his place. So for those who pray the jama'ah and leave quickly, and they have no reason to leave, they haven't got anything to do, you're losing this, which is the malaika, the angels are invoking forgiveness for that person as long as he stays in his musalla, in his area where he prayed. That means in the masjid. It doesn't mean that you should move. Allahumma salli alayhi. Oh, Allah, salli alayhi. That means mention him in the highest inhabitants. Allahumma arhamhu. Oh Lord, have mercy upon him. Allahumma salli alayhi as well, give him barakah. And the person is in a prayer as long as he's waiting for a prayer. So if you are waiting for the prayer, you are in a prayer. Also, Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, he who comes to the masjid and goes and comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prepare for him his house, his palace in paradise, every time he goes and every time he comes. Now coming to the following title.
Do women attend the congregational prayers?
Read it.
It is permissible for women to go to the mosque and attend the congregational prayers on the condition that they avoid any kind of beautification or perfume that may stir the desires or lead to temptation.
Okay, so the women, when they go to the masjid, they should go, in Arabic, tafilat. That means they're not really putting any perfume. It doesn't mean they go out stinking, because that stinking as well is not really right, because that will attract attention. Whether it's just normal, tafilat, no smell. Okay, and they should not be as well beautifying themselves, going with, like for example, colors that catchy. Okay, that will arouse the person. So they're allowed to go to the masjid and come to the jama'ah. Go on. Abdullah ibn Umar, he said,
Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, do not prevent your women from attending the mosques, and their homes are better for them.
Abdullah ibn Umar, we finished hadith, stop. Abdullah ibn Umar was saying this hadith in front of his son. One of his sons, he said, by Allah, we're going to prevent them. He said to you, I told you, Prophet ﷺ said, do not prevent the women if they want to come to the masjid, go to the masjid, do not prevent them. And you say to me, you're going to prevent them? By Allah, I'm not going to talk to you. Abdullah ibn Umar died and he did not talk to his son. These people are the ones who put the Prophet of Allah before their families. So enough is enough for us to claim that the Prophet of Allah is dear to us than our children and ourselves, and we're lying to ourselves. We're really lying. That's not true. Companions, they do. So when he said, Prophet of Allah, he said, do not prevent the women to go to the masjid if they want to go to the masjid. And one of his sons said, we will prevent them. I'm not going to talk to you. He said, I tell you, the Prophet of Allah said so, you're telling me you're going to prevent them? I will not talk to you. And he died without talking to his son. So, now, why did his son say that? It's not because he opposes the Prophet of Allah. He believes that these women at this time did something that they need to be prevented. That's why. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, if the Prophet of Allah saw what the women had done after him, he would have prevented them. Again, if Prophet of Allah saw what the women had done after him, he would have prevented them. Now, who had given the go-ahead for the women to go to the masjid and not to prevent them? Allah. Isn't it? وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ نَسِيًّا. Allah was not to be forgetful. He knows what's taking place. But Aisha, she talks about that if the Prophet ﷺ at his time, the women like this, if he prevented them, then Allah would have taken that as a rule that they will be prevented. Do you understand me? Because the Prophet ﷺ, that is why he stopped praying with the Jama'ah after Tarawih. If they kept praying it, would it be becoming what? Compulsory. Allah would have made it compulsory upon them. So if the Prophet of Allah saw the women doing what they were doing after him, after his death, he would have prevented them, there would have been no women to be allowed to come to the masjid. It's exactly the same thing with Hajar. Hajar, when she saw them have Zamzam water, Kashiga, Prophet of Allah, if she left it, she would have been what? A river. It would have been what? Not a well. Do you understand me? It would have been a river. Fine. Abu Hurairah, he comes to the masjid and he saw a woman. And she was perfumed. He said, where are you going, Amat Allah? Where are you heading? Oh woman, where are you going? She said, the masjid. He said, Allah, by Allah, you go to the masjid. Can't believe it. He said, yes. Allah, 3 times. And you go to the masjid. She said, by Allah, go to the masjid. He said, for verily my Khalil, my close companion, the Prophet ﷺ told me, and any woman who wanted to come to the masjid and she had put some of that, what you have put, which is the perfume, she should wash herself from that perfume the same way that she washes herself from sexual defilement, if janaba. So he prevented her from, and that is why some of the scholars, which is not right so, they say that putting perfume for the women invalidates the wudu. It is not. It does not invalidate the wudu. But the woman, she should not pray with perfume when she is outside amongst non-mahram. If it's with her husband, it's no problem. If it's in the house, it's no problem. But outside and putting perfume, that's a problem. Some of those creams that the woman she put, they've got lots of perfume in them as well. She has to be careful. I'm not saying that if the cream is a cream, but if the cream is perfume, it's perfume. But if the cream smells like this, it's no problem. Remember, the women, they should remember that whatever they do, the men are watching. Put perfume, they're going to smell it and look. Put something, dress on something, they will look. We're made like this, we're being treated like this. And there is no such thing that, a man, unless he hasn't, he's got something wrong with him. And that is why our Sheikh Mashur, Habibullah, he says, I cannot believe that this man is called himself a man when he works next to a woman and he does not do what the man he does with his wife. How can he hold himself? He's not a man. How can the man sit beside a woman and this is, she's my colleague? Okay? I mean, there's no manhood in here. The man is being made like this. So that's why one of the scholars described him that the men are like the wolf and the women like the sheep. And that is true. I'm not making a beastly sort of picture of the male, but this is what it is, male and female. That is a wolf and a sheep. The wolf wants to eat back the sheep. Same thing with the man. He wants the woman. The woman, she could control herself much more than the man. They should know that. That is why it is not recommended for her to come to the Jama'ah, but we're not going to prevent her if she came to the Jama'ah with no beautification. So the Prophet ﷺ emphasized, لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Don't prevent them from coming to the masjid. But when they come, ليخرجن وهن تفلات. They don't perfume themselves. And they come out, no problem. So what is the next title, please?
Their houses are better for them.
Houses better for them women, except in certain cases. Like for example, there's a class. Okay, they have a class. So they're praying the Jama'ah, they're being segregated, no problem, and there's something to benefit them, and they can't get their benefit when they are at home. Then I would say if that information they want to gain is essential for their ibadah, then they have to come. Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah, it should be as well for the sister the same thing. If she's coming to the Jumu'ah to learn her religion, but if she came to chit-chat with her other sisters, it's better to stay at home. If she came to bring the children for a picnic, it's better to stay at home. Okay? It's not a picnic here, Jumu'ah. Coming here to listen. She came for talking, disturbing the Imam, disturbing even the other sisters. So you come to the Jumu'ah to gain the knowledge, and that knowledge is essential, then it's essential to come in. Also, another salah, which is not obligatory, but it's voluntary, where they only can perform it in the masjid. And that is, which salah? Not janazah. You don't have to pray janazah. Pray at home. On their own. Can't pray janazah. What is that prayer that they cannot pray at home? You could pray Jama'ah at home, can they?
Eid.
They could stay at home. Eid prayer, very well done. Eid prayer, the women, they have to come and participate. Eid prayer, that's compulsory. What did you say?
That's not the masjid, is it?
Was that Musalla? Musalla.
Oh, you said Musalla.
Yeah. But if it's the masjid, what is the prayer in the masjid that they can't pray at home? Not istisqa. Istisqa is outside as well. Tarawih. The only prayer where the Jama'ah for her is better than her house. There's no, do you understand me? So she could come to the prayer of the Tarawih. Fine. Let's see here what Humayd read after the title we said, and their houses are better for them. The women
Although it is allowed for a woman to go to the mosque, her prayer in her own home, in her own house, is more excellent. Humayd al-Sa'idiyya narrated that she went to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and said, O Messenger of Allah, I love to pray with you. He replied, I am aware that you love to pray with me, but your prayer in your chamber is better than your prayer in your room, and your prayer in your room is better than your prayer in your house. Your prayer in your house is better than your prayer in the mosque of your people, and your prayer in the mosque of your people is better than your prayer in my mosque.
Fine. Now we come into the following title, and that is Adab al-Masjid al-Masjid. By the way, the prayer in the house, also we would like to share with you that the person should have his own musalla in his house. His corner, or a place where he thinks that's for the whole family to pray. That would be the musalla, okay? Taking the musallat in the house. So whenever you offer your jama'ah, you offer, so they'll come together and pray together. Make sure that the whole family pray together. They don't pray on their own. And make sure, you ask, did you pray? And even start, punishing the little boys or the little girls. Did you pray them? Did you pray jama'ah? You pray jama'ah, pray again. Pray again. To make sure they're praying what? Jama'ah. Remember, the jama'ah is stronger than the prayer on his own. إِنَّمَا الذِّئْبُ يَأْكُلُ مِنَ الْغَنَمِ الْقَاسِيَةِ. The wolf takes of sheep which is away from the flock, always. So they're together, they're strong. Have a musalla. اتخاذ المصليات في الدور. Taking the musallat in the house. طيب. Now.
The etiquette of walking to the mosque.
Go ahead.
Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu said, while we were praying with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he heard some men making some noise. When he had finished the prayer, he said, what was going on with you? They said, we hurried to get to the prayer. So he told them, do not do that. When you come to the prayer, you must have calmness. That part of the prayer that you catch, pray it and complete what you missed.
So when you come to the masjid, you come to the salah, you come with calmness, you don't really run. Okay, you don't run. Can you just make me exactly the same as his? Exactly the same. It's too low. Just get exactly. Look at the other one and make the exactly same. He is on the red. So there's something wrong. It's not really as strong as his. Just make me look like him. Barakallah feek. طيب. Yeah, that's better. The person, when he comes to the masjid, he should come with calmness, not to run. Prophet of Allah, he said, whatever you catch, you pray, and whatever you miss, you compensate. It is not fit for the imam or the sheikh to come to the masjid running, unless he's making some, some gym he's doing. But it's not really right to come to the masjid while you're running. So the Prophet ﷺ said, do not hasten, do not run. And also from the other sunnah, it is not from the sunnah to intertwine your fingers when you are waiting for the prayer. Because you are in a prayer. If you're waiting for the prayer, you're in a prayer. So don't intertwine your fingers like this. Don't clasp your hands like that. And that is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ also. You'll find that these people who come rushing to the prayer, they are maybe missing one rak'ah or two rak'ah. Apart from rushing, they always make a noise. It's like they say to the imam, please wait, don't make ruku' until we come in. He might even clear his throat for no reason. Okay? And he might as well miss the whole prayer by not making takbiratul ihram fully standing up. Part of it will go while he's going down, so he missed the whole prayer. So take it easier. Don't miss your prayer. And whatever you catch, you pray, and whatever you miss, you compensate. What does he say when he comes out of the house? Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you come from the house, you say, Bismillah, tawakkaltu ala Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It would be said to him, Hudita, wa kufita, wa wuqita, wa tanaha anhu shaitan. What more do you want? If you say Bismillah, in the name of Allah, توكلت على Allah. I put my trust into Allah. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. There is no might, there is no power except in Allah. It will be said to him, Hudit, you're being guided. Kufit, you're being sufficed. Or Wuqit, you're being protected. وتنحى عنه الشيطان. The shaitan will leave him aside. Subhanallah. If you say that every time you come to the house, shaitan keeps away from you. Khalas. I got no business with this guy. Let me go and look for another customer. Because that's it, you protected yourself. You look for somebody else. Ibn Abbas also, that the Prophet ﷺ, when he slept in his house, he had described the prayer of the night of the Prophet of Allah. So he said, when the adhan is being called, he came out of the prayer and he was saying the following supplication. Allahumma ja'al fi qalbi nura. O Lord, put light into my heart. Wa fi lisani nura, and put light, that means light of guidance, onto my tongue. Wa ja'al fi sam'i nura, and put light into my hearings. And wa ja'al fi basari nura, and put light into my sight. وَاجْعَلْ مِنْ خَلْفِي نُورًا, and put light from behind. وَمِنْ أَمَامِ نُورًا, and light from the front. وَاجْعَلْ مِنْ فَوْقِي نُورًا, and light from above. وَمِنْ تَحْتِي نُورًا, and light from underneath. اللَّهُمَّ أَعْطِنِي نُورًا, O Lord, give me light. What does he say when he comes to the masjid? When he enters the masjid, he enters with the right foot, and he will say, أعوذ بالله العظيم ووجهه الكريم وسلطانه القديم من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek in Allah the Great refuge, and in his face, the noble, and his sultan, the sovereignty, which is the old, from the shaitan, the cursed. So, أعوذ بالله العظيم ووجهه الكريم وسلطانه القديم من الشيطان الرجيم. And you always seek refuge in Allah's face, and you ask only with Allah's face something which is mighty. You don't ask for Allah's face except which is for the Jannah. Or you ask for something for the akhirah, to seek help, refuge from the shaitan, to seek refuge and not to be thrown into the fire. You can't ask any person something by saying to him, by the face of Allah. Can't. The face of Allah is to be used for what? Something to be used for Allah on his own, not for the people. And to be asked something which is high. You don't say, oh Lord, by your face give me a car. No. Ask him Jannah, the face of Allah, because the face of Allah is an attribute, and the face is the one that so many attributes lies into it. The face of Allah, and this is the one we're going to see on the day of resurrection on Jumu'ah, inshallah. Also, the Fatima bint Rasulullah, the daughter of the Prophet, she said, the Messenger of Allah, he said, when he enters the masjid, Bismillah. السلام على رسول الله اللهم اغفر لي ذنوبي وافتح لي أبواب رحمتك. And when he comes out, he says, بسم الله السلام على رسول الله اللهم اغفر لي ذنوبي وافتح لي أبواب فضلك. And you could say, بسم الله اللهم صل على محمد اللهم افتح لي أبواب رحمتك. That is another supplication. So بسم الله, always بسم الله, in the name of Allah. اللهم صل على محمد, the Lord pass salvation upon the Prophet, and اللهم افتح لي أبواب رحمتك. When you go in, O Lord, open the gate of mercy for me, and you come out, say dua, but you say, Allahumma aftah li, O Lord, open for me the gates of your fadl. Fadl means bounty. Does that mean translated bounty? Yeah. Subhanallah. Right, Tahiyyat al-Masjid. Coming to the Tahiyyat al-Masjid. If the person going to, please.
The prayer of greeting the mosque. When a person enters the mosque, it is obligatory upon him to pray 2 rak'ahs before he sits. Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you enters the mosque, he should not sit until he prays 2 rak'ahs. I have said that it is obligatory due to the most apparent implication of the imperative for which there is no related evidence.
Okay, let me just speak English, because what you're saying, it does not really make up for, for these brothers here. Tahiyyat al-Masjid, if you come to the masjid, you must pray 2 rak'ah if you want to sit. He didn't say that before you sit, if you want to sit, it's better word. If you want to sit. If you don't want to sit, just want to stand up, Tahiyyat al-Masjid is not compulsory. Okay? Stay standing up, no problem. Number two, it's a masjid. If it's a musalla, no problem, you can sit. If it's a masjid, so this is, for example, let's say we pray here musalla. It's not masjid, it's a musalla. So if it's a masjid and you want to sit, then you pray 2 rak'ah. If you don't want to sit, no problem. If you came in and there was dhuhr prayer, asr prayer being established, then that would suffice. You don't need to pray another 2 rak'ah. It means that you have to pray before you sit. So if it's not jama'ah there is on, then the 2 rak'ah before. So the Prophet said, none of you to come to the masjid. If you come to the masjid, then you should not sit until you pray 2 rak'ah. So if you don't want to sit, you don't have to pray. And he says it is compulsory. And he said because there are lots of indications to say it is compulsory, except for one hadith where some scholars derive from it, it is not compulsory. And that hadith is not being, well, hadith is strong, but the understanding of it is not really correct to make it's not compulsory. Which is a bit with man came to the Prophet of Allah, he said, Messenger of Allah. And this hadith is a long hadith, it came from different directions. So it came from a direction, for example, from a narration, he says to the Prophet of Allah, I'm asking you something, don't get annoyed. Are you the Messenger of Allah? Are you being sent by Allah? Are you the one? So he asked him lots of questions. Then he said to him after that, what is compulsory upon me from the salah? So he told him, what is compulsory upon me from the zakat? So he said, I'm going to stick to the obligatory and I'm not going to add any, what? Voluntary. So the Prophet of Allah said to him, 5 daily prayers. He did not mention for him, for example, Tahiyat al-Masjid. But that is not the hadith you should use for this, because the Prophet of Allah did not tell him about everything in terms of compulsory, because he said to him the 5 daily prayers. But there is salawat, salat al-Eid, not talk about it. There is salah, for example, the salat al-Janazah, did not talk about it. It is a collective obligation. Salat al-Janazah, if none of you prayed on it, everybody would be sinning. So it is obligatory. Collective obligation, it's a communal obligation. So that hadith basically is to answer that big man for that specific question, not for everything. But that's why we say that hadith stands, you should not sit down. Look at how strong it is. Add to this as well the following hadith. Hadith Suhaib al-Ghatafani in Sahih Muslim. Prophet of Allah is delivering the khutbah in his masjid. Enters a person and then he sits. So the Prophet ﷺ interrupts his khutbah, he stops his khutbah and he says, Sulaik, and he knows it. His name is Sulaik. Did he pray? 2 rak'ah. Did he pray? He said, no, Messenger of Allah. So why did he ask him, did you pray? Because he could have been praying somewhere where the Prophet did not see. Number 2, he wants to show everybody how important it is. Number 3, that person talked to him. We learn as well from that, the person is allowed to talk to the Imam. And the Imam is allowed to talk to the Imam. But people talking to each other in the khutbah is not allowed. So the Imam asks you a question in the prayer, in the Jumu'ah, while he's in the khutbah, you should answer him. But you're not allowed to answer anybody else. He said, no, Messenger of Allah. He said, stand up. So when he stopped to him, stand up, it doesn't mean that if he sat down, then the prayer is gone. No. So if somebody sat down, it doesn't mean he doesn't have to stand up to make it, to do it. So he told him, stand up. So he stood up. And he said, pray 2 rak'ah and make them light. What does that mean? You pray Fatiha. But don't pray Fatiha al-Baqarah. By the time you finish, not just the khutbah's finished, the salat's finished and everything's finished where you're praying 2 rak'ah. Make it what? Light prayer. Make it what? Light. Light means, that means you don't recite, doesn't mean makes it Ferrari prayer. You know the Ferrari prayer. Prayer is not right. You have to pray properly. You can't pray just, right? But make it with no long recitation, not long surahs. Right. So you understood now that the person, he should, this is very important because the Jumu'ah is a very important khutbah. And nothing can, you should not do anything, even in joining good and forbidding evil is not allowed. So if you see somebody talking, you're not allowed to tell him, hush. You're allowed to give a gesture. You're not allowed to do that. Because that means you have spoken. You're not allowed to speak in the khutbah. So in the Jumu'ah also, you're not allowed, if the Imam said Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you're not allowed to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Can't utter anything with your tongue. Nothing. But Tahiyat al-Masjid, Subhanallah, in the Jumu'ah, which makes it very strong 2 rak'ah. So you could pray them at any time, regardless of the time that you enter the masjid. Whether it's the prohibited time, the zenith, or the sun setting, or the sun rising, you pray what? 2 rak'ah. Because there's no more prohibited time than the time when the khatib is delivering his khutbah. Do you understand that? Like, for example, if this person prayed his fajr without wudu, and he remembered that he did not pray it without wudu, and it is the sun rising, does he wait until the sun rises all the way, or does he pray straight away? Pray straight away. He prays the fajr regardless of the time, because he remembered he prayed it without wudu. But in the Jumu'ah khutbah, if he remembered, he can't stand up and pray 2 rak'ah. Do you understand that? Tahiyat al-Masjid, you stand up. But the 2 fajr, you can't stand up. So what do? I make my 2 rak'ah of the Jumu'ah is to be what? My fajr. And then I pray my Jumu'ah as 4 rak'ah dhuhr. And I cannot pray inside the Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah, when the Imam is khatib, I have to sit and listen. Wait, go ahead.
If the beginning of the prayer is announced, there is no prayer except the obligatory prayer.
Where are you praying? Where are you?
The beginning of the prayer.
Look at the time. We finished the Tahiyat al-Masjid, go to the second time. And what is emphasizes? The compulsory. Do you remember? No? Okay. What emphasizes the compulsion of the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ? He had said that. Did you say that about the khatib? You have that in your book? No. About the Jumu'ah?
No.
SubhanAllah, I have it here. In the new version. Right, let's just go to the following title. If the prayer's iqamah is on, then there is no prayer except for that obligatory, yes?
Yeah.
Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, if the prayer established iqamah, then there is no prayer except for the one which is maktuba, the fard, the one that is being called for. Also, Malik ibn Buhayna, he said, the Messenger of Allah saw a man, and the prayer's iqamah is on, and he was praying 2 rak'ah. So when the Prophet ﷺ had finished, the people came to him, and he said to him, the Prophet ﷺ, did you pray the Fajr, the Subh, 4 rak'ah? Did you make the Fajr prayer 4 rak'ah? So what is happening here? Prophet ﷺ is about to pray the 2 rak'ah of the Fajr. The iqamah is there on. So what is this man doing? Praying his 2 sunnah. So the Prophet ﷺ after he said, are you going to pray the 2 rak'ah, make it 4? Are you going to make the 2 rak'ah 4? Another hadith, he said, فَجَبَدَهُ. He pulled him. So while he was praying, he pulled him out of his prayer. That to show that you should not do salutation except if you are doing the tashahhud. So he pulled him out. If you are in the ruku' or in the upright, you don't need to salutation right and left. You just finish the prayer. So if the iqamah is on, it's being called, listen to me, for the obligatory, and you're praying a sunnah, then you make sure that you are standing upright before the Imam utters his takbiratul ihram. Okay? So, if my Imam is, MashaAllah, and the Imam was upon the Sunnah, he will not say Allahu Akbar unless he makes the rosa straight, he takes his time, and I'm about to finish my prayer, I am in the last tashahhud, then I will finish my tashahhud, because I know my Imam is, MashaAllah. But if I know my Imam is supersonic, Ferrari Imam, as soon as the Allahu Akbar makes the Iqamah, he says Allahu Akbar. He doesn't even stow, nothing, Allahu Akbar. Then I would leave my prayer. I have to be standing up before the Imam says what? Allahu Akbar. For this we mentioned a story, basically, that there was one time when I was in Pakistan, and I was, I think, in Karachi. I was in the masjid with my friend, Sheikh Ayman, and it was the first time for me there. And the mu'adhin, he makes his adhan, mashallah, on top of the minaret. It goes in the side of the minaret and goes all the way up. And making adhan, and people, mashallah, too many. We are praying outside the masjid. So as soon as he finished the adhan, I started my 2 rak'ah. So he's talking to me, cut it off. You're going to be finishing. I did not really pay attention, just pray, because I know he's too far away. And he's up that minaret. Even the minaret's next door, but he's, it's really far, high. He said, just cut it off, you're not going to finish it. I kept praying. Allah, I didn't finish maybe ruku', just the first rak'ah. I said, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, hayya salah, hayya falah, qam salat. I had to cut it off. He was right. MashaAllah, I think he was running up the steps. These guys, they don't leave any time. I don't know if you know the Ahnaf. Notice that. Adhan, then Iqamah. There is no gap in between. You have that in the same masjid here?
Yeah.
Yes? Same thing, yes, same. So there, only the 1 minute which is running down the steps. This one is maybe nothing. Allah Akbar, and then Iqamah. Yes? Correct? Yeah. And the sunnah is to leave a gap for the people to pray sunnah. That's the sunnah. So, the Iqamah, if it is being called and you are doing a sunnah, then if you are not able to finish in time, or could be standing up before the Imam says Takbirat al-Ihram, then cut it off. Okay? But what about if I'm praying obligatory? Meaning, let's say I am a person who is just remembered that I haven't prayed my Dhuhr on time, or I haven't prayed my Dhuhr because I'm a traveler, and I'm coming to the masjid, they're praying the Asr, and I'm praying my 2 Dhuhr, and the Iqamah is on. Do you understand that? Do I leave the prayer or not? That's very controversial among the scholars. Because the Prophet of Allah, he said, if the prayer is Iqamah is established, and then there is no prayer except for the Maktuba, which is the Fard. But I'm praying Fard. You understand? I'm praying Fard, except for the Fard. So what should I do here? Did I finish?
Finish it.
Okay. And said controversial. If we look at other hadith, we see, why is that there is no prayer except for the Iqamah? Is it just because of the Fard, or is it because of the unity, that we have to be united? One day the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed the Asr, and after he finished, he saw 2 people standing behind. They did not pray. He called them. They came when they were shaking. They were scared. He said, why didn't you pray? He said, Messenger of Allah, we prayed at home. We prayed our Asr at home. And we keep in the masjid. He said, don't do that. If you come to the masjid and the Iqamah is on, then pray with the people and make your prayer has to be voluntary. So make your 4 rak'ah to be what? Voluntary prayer. Same thing, the Prophet of Allah saw a man in the Fajr prayer, where he prayed Salat al-Fajr 2 rak'ah, and then this person did not pray. So he called him, are you Muslim? He said, he's not a Muslim. He said, yes, Muslim. So if you come to the masjid, then pray 2 rak'ah. Because if you see people praying and a person does not pray, either he works for the dispatches program, spy, or he is not Muslim, he's learning. How can he be a Muslim? Bearing in all of that in mind, that it's going to give a wrong prediction to other people. If the people who are in vicinity, they know you. For example, you are in Musalla and a person did not pray with us. No problem, because we know that he didn't pray at home. We understand that. Prayed his Isha. No problem. But if it's a masjid, you can't guarantee who's going to come in. So we don't want to have wrong ideas to anybody. And that is why when they hear the adhan and you are in the masjid, you're not allowed to go out till you pray with the people. Why? Because what the people are going to say about you? Why did you come out? So you have to pray inside. But if you are in a place like this and muadhin called, you could go because everybody knows you. I'm going. But in the masjid, you don't know who's coming, who's going, and any other people. So you might not give wrong ideas. Because of all of that, I'm inclined to say even if it's obligatory. Here, there is no prayer except for the obligatory that is the iqamah was made for. Because the iqamah is linked to it. فَإِذَا أُقِيمَتِ الصَّلَاةِ Which salah? Your salah? Salah which you're going to be praying. Then there is no prayer except for the maktuba which is the one that the iqamah was made for. So even if you're praying obligatory, cut it off and you pray with them and you make your prayer which is you've missed, that prayer of theirs. So they're praying Asr, you make it what? Dhuhr. And you're going to be praying 4. And then you pray after them Asr. Always pray with them. There are questions afterwards. You remember? Keep that question, write it down. Right. Now we come to the end of our topic, and that is, go ahead.
Whoever comes to the mosque after the Imam had finished.
No. Before that, what is the excellence of gaining?
The excellence of catching the opening takbir with the Imam.
Okay, say it. Anas, he says, the Prophet said,
Anas narrated that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, whoever prays for the sake of Allah 40 days in a congregation, catching the first takbir, then written for him will be freedom from 2 matters, freedom from the hellfire and freedom from hypocrisy.
Allahu Akbar. Okay, so if this person prays 40 days, how many prayers? 200. Excellent. 5 multiplied by 4 is 200. 200 in a jama'ah, where he is there for takbirat al-ihram, does not miss the takbirat al-ihram. Then 2 things will be recorded for him. He will be free from the fire and free from hypocrisy. Why free from the fire? Because he fulfilled the obligation of the prayer. Why free from the hypocrisy? Because he's keeping to his rendezvous, his promise. Every time he's got a time, it's coming to it. He does not go behind. So it's coming to his timed book. So the prayer is a timed book. Because of that, free from hypocrisy. And hypocrisy always does not come on time. That's the excellence of coming 200 prayers. So if you are the Imam, make sure you don't miss the day that you are off. Some days they're off for the Imam. Come for the day when you're not off. And if you miss one day from the 40th, you have to start from the beginning. Okay, 40th to be continuous. Right. Do you have any questions?